Any plans for this evening? Perhaps a game night?
Game over, man! It's game over!
Shut up. Play the game. Play it from your heart.
26 years ago, we started playing a little game. Now, we're all gonna sit down, we're gonna finish it.
And may the odds be ever in your favor.
And here we go.
Hey, welcome to Dice Camera Action, a mashup podcast about board games and movies where cardboard meets a silver screen. Each episode, we review a board game. Then if you're a cinephile, you can stick around for an in-depth discussion about a movie with a similar theme. But today, we are not doing that. We're not doing that at all. Today, I'm here with the Diced Onion himself, Joel Karpowitz, and Isaac Hirschfeld. Two of our regular hosts here on the show that attended PAX this year. So we wanted to do kind of a PAX kind of recap episode and just see what your experiences were like. So Joel, Isaac, welcome to back to the show. How's it going?
Doing great. Yeah, I feel like I've been upgraded. You just introduced me as a regular host, which is very exciting.
Yeah, was this your third time on or something like that?
So
yeah, no end in sight. So yeah, let's make it official. A regular host, part of the team.
Is a trend, you know.
That's right.
I learned
That's
that in
right.
Algebra class.
There you go. So today, basically, we're going to do, like, the whole episode is just going to be shout-outs. So normally we just have a small segment at the top where we, each shout out a game, a movie, a TV show, any kind of media that we've been kind of taking in. We're basically just going to do a whole episode of shout-outs, and we're going to go one at a time. Now, I didn't attend PAX, so I'm just going to shout out a bunch of random movies and games that I've been playing. And then when it gets to Joel and Isaac, they'll shout out something that they did, saw, or played at PAX, at Pax-U, and then when we run out, and that's going to be the episode. So it's probably going to be a little shorter than a standard episode, but we'll have a good time and talk about some of the stuff that we've been doing as of late.
No! Kelly Clarkson!
And stop shouting! I'm not deaf!
So who wants to get us started?
I can go ahead and start.
Yeah, I have a feeling you'll have the most to say here for reasons that we'll share in a few moments. So yeah, good idea for Joel to give us the start here.
I'm going to actually start with one that I saw at the Hot Games tables at PAX, but it's one I actually brought my copy of and played it for the first time at PAX. And that's Jisogi from Esper Game Studio. And it's a game where you are running an anime company. And I don't really know anything about anime. I mean, other than like Studio Ghibli, I don't watch a ton of anime. But it's really like the way it works. It's a worker placement game where you are trying to harness your crew, your workforce, and they start as like dead-eyed workers. They have no joy, right? Like they only do the minimum and things. You go around
like all of us.
Like all of us in life, right? Anybody who's been working. You go around, you send them to create story ideas, and they have these 3 different story pieces that each one has a little bit of text on it, and so you mix and match, this is a horror movie set in a high school, but the twist is that everybody's already dead, or whatever it is, right? You mix and match these pieces and try and match up with what's in the zeitgeist, what's popular right now, and those trends are fading and changing over the course of the game. You have to invest in art, you have to upgrade your workers and promote them or hire new workers who have extra powers. It was really fun. It's a pretty straightforward worker placement game. Not too long, lovely art, really, really beautiful art. But that was one of the ones that I finally had a chance to play that I just really enjoyed. It was a lot of fun, and I think everyone who was at the table had a good time with it too. So Jisogi, I think it may be called Jisogi Anime Studio Tycoon or something like that, but definitely one that I had a great time with.
I know some people that love the theme of that, so...
Yeah, I was going to say that'll have an audience for sure.
For sure.
A passionate audience.
I'm not even a big anime guy, but it's a beautiful game. The art is super cool. It's really fun.
Do you feel the theme come through a little bit, or?
I think so, yeah. The way you put those story pieces together, they fit together almost like a little jigsaw, little tetramino pieces that you put together, and then you have your little story beat at the end. It was I think the theme came through pretty well.
Oh yeah, the art looks great. That's very interesting.
Very cool. Isaac, you got something for us from PAX?
Yeah, so I'm gonna disclaim a few things real quick here. So the entire con, I was working at a booth, so I have a little bit of a more narrow lens that I'm gonna be giving my recommendations through. And obviously, I'm very biased, but I taught a few games at the convention, constantly for 3 days. So I'll talk about those. The first one I want to talk about is Animal Team Rescue.
Paw Patrol.
Paw Patrol.
Paw Patrol, the board game.
Yeah. It's actually I don't think the designer specifically said this, but it's kind of like a spiritual successor to Thunderbirds. So Matt Leadoff, who made Pandemic and a bunch of, just understands cooperative games. He just knows how to make those. So it's kind of like a pickup and delivery movement efficiency puzzle where animals are in distress. There's like a wildfire and you gotta, a horse is burnt, or there's a duck stuck.
Oh, so it's like the animals are in danger and people need to save them, not the animals are part of the team. Paw Patrol, got it.
It's Paw Patrol, but with humans.
Gotcha.
And
Human Patrol, we might call it.
You might call it Animal Rescue Team.
Oh my god, what a great title. They should pay us to do this. To just title their games. This is genius.
You hear that, Matt Leadock? That's we're going to help you name your next cooperative game. So, you go around, you have these different resources you sort of need to carry around with you in these there's a huge toy factor to this game where you have something you got to put your specialists in and move them around the map, but you can slot things into them. And here's an example of like the boat. So, you got to actually physically get your equipment to where you want to bring it, and they can slot the animals into it with the people, and the boat can't go across land, so you got to hook it up to the truck.
Oh my god, there's a mini little hitch on it.
And even the motorcycle fits onto the truck.
Oh,
so
what the heck?
Stupid. This is like really probably never gonna happen in your games, but you could drive the truck to pull the motorcycle and the boat with resources in it to get the animals to safety, sort of thing.
That would be my only goal, is to achieve that setup.
No, seriously.
To the detriment of the entire game. I wouldn't even care. You guys would be all mad at me, but I would achieve that somehow.
We'd be like, Matt, all the animals died. And you're like, but the motorcycle is in the truck.
Yeah, but look at this little hitch thing. Isn't that cool?
The toy factor is immense in this, but what I love about it is it's necessary for the game, right? Because the way things fit into those is important, like the shapes of the slots, right? Not everything fits in different things.
Gotcha.
Love it when toys are like actually useful. There's something gimmicky to it, but it's not really gimmicky because it's necessary for the mechanisms.
Very cool.
Rescue Team.
Animal Rescue Team. What a great title.
Paw Patrol.
The first game I'll shout out is a game that I have played here and there with my son Charlie, and he's been playing this game with a little bit of help for a couple of years, and then probably just recently has gotten to a point where he's now able to fully play it on his own. But it is Sobek 2 Players. Have you guys ever heard of Sobek 2 Players?
I've heard of it, but never played it.
Yeah, it's a really neat little game designed by Bruno Cathala, one of my favorite designers. And basically the theme is that it's like an Egyptian market, and you have to collect, and it's like set collection, and you have to collect all kinds of different materials, and then you put them in sets, and then at the end of the game, you essentially sell them for points. At the end of the game. And then the more you have, essentially there's, so one of the things is marble. And marble is one of the rarer resources. There's fish, there's cattle, there's, I guess, straw or hay, or wheat, I guess, maybe. So there's a bunch of different resources. But let's say at the end of the game, you have 4, and it's a little bit like King Domino, the way that it scores at the end. So you will count the amount of scarabs that are on each of these cards. and then you multiply that by the amount of that resource that you have. So if you have 3 scarabs and 3 of those resources, that'll score you 9 points. And you can only basically sell them in sets of 3 or more. So they stay in your hand until you take a turn to sell them, and then in which case you put them down face up in front of you, and then basically saying like, these are now scored and they're going to score me points at the end of the game, and you can't add to it. So there's a little bit of push your luck, is like, okay, I'm going to try to get more of this resource to try to maximize it, but then there are tons of ways in the game where you could lose tiles from your hand or wait too long. If the game ends, the game can end suddenly. You kind of see it coming a little bit, but it sort of can end suddenly depending on players' actions. So if you get caught with them stuck in your hand, you could also not score them in that way. But the thing that makes this game really interesting is the way that you get the resources. So there's basically this grid that is, I want to say it's like 8 by 8, or maybe not quite that much, 6 by 6 or something like that. And every single tile that is placed out on this grid, okay, has direction markers on them. So it'll show a diagonal direction, one way or the other, or a vertical or a horizontal direction on them. And then there's this Sobek pawn, or it's called an Ankh pawn, but basically it's the shape of an Ankh. And that's kind of the selector, the thing that you use to grab the resources, and we share it. It's called Sobek 2-player, so I imagine you figured out it's a 2-player only game. But essentially, I will take that Ankh pawn, and I will put it on, at the very beginning, on one of the 4 resources in the middle. And then depending on which one I take, I will orient the Ankh pawn, which has like direction, like basically pointers on it. I will orient it in the direction that that tile was pointing. And essentially that means that my opponent now has to choose something in the row or column or diagonal area that the Ankh pawn is now pointing. So I have a little bit of say in what my opponent has access to on their turn. And then they'll do the same thing. They'll now choose something in somewhere in the row or column or diagonal. Would you call it a diagonal row? Is that what you would say? I'm not sure how to say that. But anyways, in the diagonal, row that it's pointing, and then they would then orient the Ankh pawn in the direction that tile was pointing. So if there's a tile an alley, diagonally, okay.
It's just, I declare.
Maybe.
I declare.
That's what it is now. We're just naming things today. That's just one of the many services that we offer here at Dice Camera Action. You need a name for something, you let us know. So yeah, if there's a resource that I sort of maybe want a little bit, but it's just the best option at this point. But if I did that, it would point you at something you really want. Maybe I don't do that. Maybe I change my mind and do something different, right? And then if you don't, you can, the most efficient thing is to pick a tile that's immediately adjacent to the Ankh pawn. But if I want to choose something that's 2 or 3 away, I have to collect all of the ones that I skipped and put it aside, and that's going to be worth potentially negative points at the end of the game. So I can skip things to grab something that's further away, but there's a little bit of a penalty to it. So there's lots of like things to think about when you're doing that. And there's all sorts of other little things that are happening. There's a different type of tile that just gives you a special ability. There's mystery tiles. There's one-time use abilities that you can gain every time that you complete or you sell a set of resources. I'm not going to get into all that, but there's like a lot more to it than just what I've explained. But what I have explained is what makes this game really interesting. That's kind of the crux and the soul of this game, is that like decision point. There's just tons of really interesting decisions. Like, do I want this tile? Yes, I absolutely really want it. So I'm just going to take it, and I'm not going to concern myself too much with where it's pointing afterwards. But if there's tiles that I'm sort of not that interested in taking, then maybe I won't take it if it's going to benefit my opponent too much. So it's all sorts of those little kind of decision points that make this game interesting. And it's a game that I've gone back to over and over and over again. And Charlie loves it. He pulls it out often. And I've played it with my wife a bunch of times too. It's just a really great sort of resource management, push your luck tile collection game, set collection game, but it has just enough there too that that kind of like makes it a little bit more than just like a little, you know, filler or pastime game. It's a game that is fairly crunchy, and there's a lot of good decisions and interesting decisions to make. So that's Sobek 2 Players by Pandasaurus Games, designed by Bruno Cathala.
Nice. Always love a good 2-player game that really makes you just pay attention to what your opponent's doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool.
Nice.
Joel, back around to you.
All right, so the next one I want to talk about is a little bit of an older game, actually. I think it was first published in 2020, if I looked up the right version of it, but there was some drama around the Kickstarter, maybe the second Kickstarter. It's a game called High Rise by Gil Hova.
Oh, I saw this on your Instagram today. It looks really cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. So I'll tell the kind of backstory first. Like, I had requested a review copy, and I was fortunate enough to get one from Allplay after I'd had a meeting with them and things. And so I was really excited already. This is a game I'd been like looking at, and I was interested in it because I really like Gil Hova's game, The Networks. And I don't know if either of you guys have played that, but it's a great game where you're trying to like program a week's worth of evening television back when like network TV was a big thing, and really fun game, great sense of humor and things. So I'd been really intrigued by this High Rise game. So I got it and I was setting it up on the table, and this guy comes by and he's like, hey, let me know if you have any questions about that. And I'm like, oh, are you a High Rise expert? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, I was like, okay, cool. And he walks away, and I'm still setting it up, and I'm trying to decipher the rule book, and it's not a great rule book. And this guy comes back, and he's like, yeah, I'm just going to teach it to you, because I know that's not my best work on that rule book. And I'm like, are you Gil Hova? And he's like, yeah, I'm Gil Hova. And he's like, this is my game. And I was like, amazing. So he taught us the game, and it's super fun. And I want to kind of build off of Isaac's toy factor idea here, because there's a basic version in this that is just cardboard, right? And that's fine. It has different height buildings. So you're building buildings of various heights. And that works, but there's an expansion or upgrade, I don't know what you call it, that's called the ultra plastic version, and it's these plastic pieces, and so you kind of
they should have come to us to name that.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a great name.
You snap them together kind of like Legos, because as you go around, you're trying to collect materials, and there are blueprints that change in each round, and the blueprints tell you how you build like a 6-level building, right, or a 7-level building, or whatever it is you're gonna build, and complete the blueprint, and you then get to put together your building, and you put it out on a location, and there's sort of this is going to sound like a dirty word, but I mean it in a good way, like a Monopoly-like aspect to it. Once you put the building out, you own that space. And the board is a big rondelle, so when other people land on that space, you get a benefit, right?
It's not a roll and move, is it?
No, it's not. It's not.
Okay, at least there's that.
Just in the property ownership aspect.
Sure.
So you own this space, and you get a benefit whenever anybody uses it, and each space has like a different action. So it could be to collect certain materials. Sometimes it's drawing blindly from a bag. Sometimes it's like choosing a material. Sometimes it's like you can get an antenna, and so next time you build a building, you can add this antenna, because the way you score is by having the tallest buildings in each zone of the city or in the city overall. So you're kind of moving around trying to get the right materials to build these bigger buildings and figure out like, okay, if I take this one, I will have the tallest building and be tied for the second tallest building in this zone. So that's really good for me because ties are all friendly, or whatever the case may be is, right? You're trying to do all these different things. I think the secret sauce is that there's also this thing called a corruption track. And so on many of the spaces, you can do like a little bit better version, but then you have to move on this corruption track. Like you're paying off people in order to get a little bit better materials here, right? Or whatever the case may be. And at the end of each round, whoever is furthest on the corruption track is going to lose some points, right? So you want to be a little bit corrupt, but if you get too corrupt and too far ahead of everybody else on that corruption, because part of it is based on how far ahead you are, then you get like a big negative effect. And so it's figuring out when do I want to be a little bit corrupt, and when am I going to hold back, even though that might mean someone else gets an advantage that I wanted and things. We had a really great time with it. It was a super fun game. Like, it was fun enough that I immediately went home and I was like, I know there are the pieces that come in the box that you drop from the bag are little cardboard chits, and they work just fine. But I was like, I know there are upgrades for this, and the only place I could find them was at a store in England. So I ordered them anyway, because I'm like, I know I'm going to play this again. I know I want the like fancier wooden pieces that you're pulling out for these construction materials and stuff. But it was really fun. I think what I have heard from All Play is that this is not one they are planning to reprint anytime soon, but it's still available. And so I would, if that sounds interesting, I would just say, like, look for it right away. I know there's always versions for like trade and things on BGG, and that's fine too. But like, I really enjoyed it. It's one I've had my eye on for a while, and had a great time with it. And not just because the designer taught it to us, but that was a fun bonus.
Yeah, it is available here in Canada too, at Board Game Bliss, our sponsor.
Nice.
I want to take a quick moment to shout out our sponsor, BoardGameBliss.com, which is honestly where I've been buying games for years. This isn't some random ad read. They're literally the only people I reached out to because I already love what they do, and I was relieved when they said yes so I could be fully genuine when endorsing them. They've got a huge inventory of games and are always super competitive price-wise, which is important to me. At Board Game Bliss, we believe in the magic of play. Board games spark joy, forge connections, and create unbelievable moments. We source exceptional titles from around the globe, so your table always has something exciting to offer. Whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned pro, there's always a new favorite waiting to be found. Go to BoardGameBliss.com and find out why they're my personal favorite place to buy board games. They actually have the best price, $54.95 Canadian. So in stock at Board Game Bliss if you're in Canada. And Board Game Bliss actually sells into the US too. I don't know what price in the US, but is available. Board Game Bliss. I'm going to check it out probably. Yeah, sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's really fun. If you can, get that plastic version, because that toy factor is really fun with it.
Yeah,
it might be a separate thing, but it's really fun.
Cool. Isaac, what you got?
I guess I'm going off of the Toy Factor theme here. We're all talking about it. Maybe it's Christmas is on our minds.
There you go.
So one of the few things that I got to step away from my booth and got to check out a little bit is also not a brand new game. And I'm not sure if somebody's talked about it on the podcast already, but I got to check out Snapship Tactics.
Snapship Tactics, yes. I have heard of that. It's not been mentioned on the podcast before. So
okay. Really interesting. So I will disclaim, I'm not a war games guy. But if somebody invites me to play one, I'm not going to say no. It's a board game. It's on a tabletop. I'll still do it. And somebody had me come over to check it out with them, and it's so interesting because it's a spaceship battler. You have all these ships that you're maneuvering and trying to shoot each other down. The ships have health points. You have to worry about how far things are apart and if you're at the right angle to shoot things. But what really,
if I'm not mistaken, it's a lot like Star Wars X-Wing.
Yes, people relate it to, especially the mechanisms of it, to X-Wing quite a bit.
Okay,
that's exactly the thing. But what's really interesting about this is you get to make the ship. So you just come with a bunch of these pieces, and then like Legos, they stick together. And I'm not talking about these little itty bitty X-Wings and the X-Wing spiders. These epic capital ships where the module and you stick on these cannons and you stick on this thrusters and
and all that stuff is functional, right? Mechanically in the game?
All of it mechanical is functional, right.
That's so
these
cool.
Modules you're adding on is your actions. So you don't like how missiles work because missiles in this game, there's a delay to when they do damage, and there's a way to stop them. They do a lot of damage. Maybe you're more like I like to do little peppering damage, so you get like a laser cannon instead. So you take off the missiles, you put on the cannons, and then you get a chip that tells you what that does. And so it's an action selection. You have so many actions on a turn, and you're choosing what you're doing. But the toy factor, once again, like I said earlier, that it's a toy factor, but it's necessary for the mechanisms of the game, right? It's a visual representation of what you're using to fight each other, and you just get to build this massive ship or ships, and you get to duel it out in space. It's super cool.
How much space do you need for this?
It depends on how many ships you're including in the battles.
Right. Okay.
Probably a normal table if you're just doing 1v1, but they have it set up so you can do 2v2, and then everyone, especially if you get the expansions, you have like a capital ship and then you have a couple smaller ships. You may just need a huge space. Super
play on the floor.
Play in space.
I walked by this booth a couple times and I stopped and looked at it because it's awesome looking. Yeah. It looks so great, right? Just reminds me of being a kid again and being like, yeah, I'm gonna get my big ship and put this piece on. It's awesome.
Oh, 100%. If I got this game when I was in high school, my whole life trajectory would be different now.
He'd still be living in his mom's basement with the biggest Snapship Tactics collection of all time.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Yeah, I've seen this around, and it intrigues me, but just based on I haven't even done the research. I'm saying this kind of just assuming, but I'm assuming if you it's fairly pricey if you want to get multiple ships. I suppose you could start probably with just buying enough.
Set.
Yeah, or whatever, and I'm sure that's but I know myself, and as soon as I get that core set and I start playing with it, I'm going to be like, okay, I want to do more, and then we're going down the rabbit hole. Yeah, right. Exactly. Especially with a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old who would probably be all over that. So it does look really really cool though. Yeah. Cool. I guess that's me, right? What next? I'm gonna jump into movies because I clearly I didn't go to PAX, and so I think these two are mostly going to talk about games. They might throw in a movie or show, but I've got a handful of both that I want to talk about. The first one I'll talk about is the movie called Him, which was a Jordan Peele production. So he didn't direct it. He didn't write it or direct it like he did with his other movies, but he was a big part of getting this movie made. It was directed by Justin Tipping. Came out just this year. And it stars Marlon Wayans and Tyreek Withers is those are the two main characters. And so it is a horror movie. Of sorts. And, when I first saw this come out or heard about it, I thought it was a Jordan Peele kind of written and directed movie. And I saw the trailer and I'm like, oh man, that's going to be amazing. And then I found out he wasn't really a huge part of the creative portions of making the film. He was more of on the production and producer side of things. So I thought, okay, well, maybe this will be good. He's got his fingerprints on it. And I ended up watching it the other day, despite it having really bad reviews. It's a 2.6 on Letterboxd. I think it's rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. But it looked interesting enough. And again, with a Jordan Peele's name on it, I thought I'd check it out. It wasn't great. I gave it 2.5 stars. So just barely a passing grade because there's enough interesting visuals and interesting ideas going on. But it really felt like it's a really strange thing where there's a movie that end up being way more than the sum of their parts. You're like, okay, this thing had a super low budget and maybe the acting wasn't great because it's more of an indie film and this and that. But despite all that, it ends up outperforming what it should based on what they put on the screen. And this just felt like exactly the opposite. The performances were really good. If you ask me, was it, well acted? Yes. Was it well directed? Yes. Did it look good? Was it, all of the factors is yes, mostly yeses. I guess the place where it mostly falls apart for me is maybe a little bit in the script. But for some reason it just didn't hit. And there's just I don't know. I honestly, I don't have it. It's more of one of these movies where instead of having a really solid story and through line that you're following along, it's more of a movie that washes over you and you experience. And it's just you just take it in, and it didn't really kind of do much for me beyond the fact that it looked really good. And the thing that really disappointed me more than anything is that the first act was really good. It sets it up in such a way, basically the story goes that it's this this high school football star and he is projected to go number one. He's projected to be, the GOAT. He projected to be him, one of the all-time greats. And, he's at the point where he's about to choose his college or see which college is going to pick him. I'm not too sure how the football system works in the States, but essentially he's like the next big thing. And he gets invited to this compound where Marlon Wayans, who is the previous GOAT, so he is a veteran in football, and he's done it all. He's won championships. He's been the best quarterback that's ever played, et cetera, et cetera. And it's sort of just like he gets invited by Marlon Wayans to this compound where they're going to train for 7 days and really put him through his paces and stuff. And then like some weird stuff starts to happen in the way that the people behave when they're training, being fairly violent to each other, some really interesting dynamics being explored there. And you can imagine the power dynamic between like this young kid who's just like going into this new world, having no idea what to expect, and being told this is how you be the best, and you've got to take these injections, and you've got to get this amount of sleep, and we're going to monitor everything, and we're going to take your cell phone, and like it's just setting up for this really eerie, cool kind of power dynamic and scary situation potentially. But yeah, it does the first act was incredible. I was along for the ride, and then it slowly but surely started to fall apart for me, and I just couldn't bring myself to care about any of the characters or much of what was going on. But it is gorgeous. It's really cool and slick, well directed. I just didn't hit. So yeah, that's him.
I like how you're like selling us on this story, and you're like, this is happening,
like,
this is happening, and it sucked. I'm like, okay.
Honestly, watch a trailer, and if you think if you love football or if you really love horror, and it seems like you would like it, you probably will. You won't be like completely disappointed and hate it, because I didn't hate it, and I wasn't completely disappointed. It just barely missed being great. And that was just kind of so close to being really, really cool. But yeah, didn't quite hit for me.
The main thing I know about that movie is that they really want you to think Jordan Peele was directing it. Like, his name is all over those posters.
Yeah, his name pulls a lot of weight these days with the 3 projects he's directed. I don't necessarily blame the marketing team for doing that, but yeah, that is what got me interested in the first place, right? So yeah, nail on the head with that observation there, Joel, for sure. All right, Joel, what do you got?
All right, I'll talk about one that is available right now, and because I've got a few that are like coming down the pipe in the next year. We had a really fun time playing Take Time from Asmodee, releasing it wide, but I think the actual publishing company is like Libellude or something. Might be how you pronounce that. I'm not sure if that's the correct pronunciation or not. This is a cooperative game, and inside, when you open up the box, there's like all these different envelopes, and in each of those envelopes are a series of they kind of look like clocks, right? And the goal of the game is that with your kind of team, your group that you're playing with, you're trying to place cards. You have cards that are white cards 1 through 12 and black cards 1 through 12. You're trying to place them around a clock with this clock-like thing. And as you play through these different envelopes and play through these different clocks, new rules get added in each time. So the basic rules are that you can talk and you can plan, you can talk about what the goals are for that particular clock that you're working on, but once you start playing, you can't talk anymore, and you can't plan things like, oh, if I put the card at a 90-degree angle, that means it's a 7. But if it's you can't do that, but you can do hey, if somebody has a low number here, they should play it in this space first, because each of these clocks is divided into, I think it's 6 different sections, and as it goes on, the rules are things like, well, in this section you can only have 1 card, in this other section you have to have a white card and a black card, but always the clocks have to, each section has to be of higher value than the section that came before it. And after, I think, the second or third clock, that no section can be higher than 24. And so it starts to become this puzzle of how you place these things out with your hand of cards, because you're not getting the full deck every time. If you're if you're playing with 4 players, we were playing with 4 players. Each player has, I think, 3 cards or something like that. But it becomes surprisingly complicated, surprisingly fast. And it reminds me of games like The Crew and things like that, where you've got this shared goal. You can't really tell each other what you have in your hand. You just have to hope like that people understand what you're doing, right? And as you go through and fail and things, you can strategize. And you have a few cards that you can play face up, and if you fail a mission, then you can basically, you get an extra card that you can play face up, and it goes on and on like that. We just found this really clever, and we only got through like the second envelope or something. I think we've got still 7 or 8 envelopes to go. But it was really like enjoyable, and we just all wanted to kind of keep playing it. You know, we're at PAX, there's games everywhere and things, and I think we played that game for probably, 2.5 hours, and you know, each round goes fairly quickly, and so we were playing it obsessively. You may also be able to do the math and realize we weren't very good if we only got through 2 envelopes in that long. But it was one of those games that just immediately I was like, oh, I want to play this some more. I'm excited to kind of keep kind of working our way through this stack of envelopes and things. And so that is definitely one. I think it's fairly inexpensive. I think it's something like $30 or something like that. It's a nice production. I mean, it's just cards, but the cards are pretty, that, and kind of working your way through that stack is just very, very satisfying. So that was one that I really enjoyed quite a bit. And actually, I'm just thinking of this now, and this is not why I brought it up. I am going to probably do a giveaway soon, because I got an extra copy of it. So in the next week or 2, I'll probably do that on my channel. So, yeah. But anyway, it's a really good game.
Well, I'm not part of the Diced Onion, so I don't feel bad joining that giveaway. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, please, you should. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll share it for you as well. Sure. Yeah, that sounds cool. I saw it at my local game store. It looked really interesting. I picked it up and saw it was a cooperative game, and then I put it down. But after hearing your description, and I actually recorded a podcast with Daniel Reynolds, who also shouted it out. So it sounds interesting. And like, I typically stay away from cooperative games. I will play some from time to time when it's brought to a game night or whatever. The times where I typically make an exception is when it's exactly this style of game, where there's like no communication, there's no possibility of quarterbacking, right. And you can like play for 20 minutes, or you could play for 2 hours. Like for me, those are like great cooperative games, because like I can commit to just playing like a couple of rounds, and then I can move on, or we can move on if everybody's not feeling it. But The Crew and The Gang, love those games.
If you like those, this is right in line with those.
Yeah, perfect. So. Cool. Yeah, so I might end up picking it up again after having put it down. Joel, what's your next shout out?
Me or Isaac?
Isaac, what's your next shout out?
Joel, keep going.
You're on a roll. Keep going.
So, talking about games that are a little bit out of my wheelhouse, you're not a huge fan of cooperative games. I'm not a huge fan of social deduction games. So something that was being displayed, I played a Z that I found very interesting. It's called 23 Knives. It didn't come out too long ago. It is a social deduction game. The pitch, though, is that it's a social manipulation game. So what's interesting about this game is thematically what you're doing is you're either trying to kill Caesar or trying to save Caesar. And at the beginning of the game, you're given a roll card, so you don't know what team you're on until the start of the game, and that's a secret. But basically, there's a way of playing cards onto yourself or to other players that give you more blood spot symbols or more laurel symbols. If you have more blood spot symbols, you're ultimately trying to kill Caesar. But if you have more laurel symbols, you're trying to save Caesar. So throughout the game, what you're actually trying to accomplish may change based upon what cards are played onto you or what cards you play onto yourself. So even though you're trying to accomplish one of these goals, that may change through the game. So that's what makes it more than just a normal social deduction game, which is super interesting, that you don't have a set role. You're trying to figure out what everyone else is doing, what you're trying to do, but that changes based on how people are kind of bluffing, how they're playing cards, how they're putting certain cards face down or certain cards face up. And you may realize that, wait, I'm not going to be able to save Caesar. Maybe I should start working towards trying to kill him instead. So your ultimate goal, you may even be trying to social deduce yourself. which is like, I'm like, wait, that actually brings it to the next level for me. But then there's the last dynamic is there's 3 ways somebody can win. If you're trying to kill Caesar, you only win if you are the most trying to kill him. You have the most blood spots.
Okay.
Similarly with saving him, you only win if you have the most laurels, right?
Okay.
So you may be trying to get to a goal and then realize you're not going to be able to do it, so you start to flex back towards the other way. And then the third win condition is everybody else is called an opportunist if their laurels and blood spots are equal. And then they win as a team if at the end of the game they get to change the outcome. So all of their leftover cards, they may be able to manipulate it to change at the end of the game. So what's interesting about this game is you're constantly trying to figure out what everyone else is doing, but then yourself, you may get manipulated by all this information that you're trying to deduce, and then you try and do something else. And then if you're like me, whenever I change my mind, I always lose.
Cool. So that's 23 knives. So I have a question,
knives.
like knives, yeah. Which is a weird, like the theme, like you usually with Caesar salad, you use a fork, not a bunch of knives. There's your dad joke
Okay,
for the
Bruce.
day. No, my actual question is, so social deduction, you hear the term social manipulation, sure. You use the term above the table, like how much of the game is above the table, meaning how much of the game is you interacting directly with the people as opposed to interacting with the game and pieces and things on the table. So things like negotiation and bargaining and lying and manipulating and all that stuff. So how much of this game is above the table versus how much of this game is on the table? Because there are certain games where it is social deduction and social manipulation, whatever you want to call it, but it's all done on the table. So you're manipulating things and changing things and trying to convince people of things by doing things on the table versus actually just trying to convince people verbally or negotiating or whatever. Pardon?
The second to last thing you said. So you're playing cards, you're changing the game state, basically. You're not, obviously you can talk and try and lie or whatever, or bluff verbally, but you're really mostly bluffing or changing or deducing or manipulating other players by the actions you're doing, by the cards you're playing, how you're playing them strategically face down or face up, or applying them to a certain player.
Okay. Yeah, that's the type of social deduction game that I actually like. Hollywood 1947 is a great example of that. A certain percentage of people are commies versus patriots, but all of the manipulation and everything is on the table. Like, yes, of course, we're like accusing each other and having fun above the table, but like the game fully happens on the table. There's very little actually trying to convince people or negotiating or bargaining above the table. And those are the types of social deduction games that I love. Shamans is another really great example, which is a trick-taking game that has a traitor, but there's all sorts of other layers and things going on. It's another really great one. But cool. Yeah. So if a lot of it is on the table, it's definitely going to interest me. It sounds pretty neat.
On the table. And once again, the other stit is just because you start in a roll doesn't mean you end there.
That's cool. I like that twist.
That. Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Sorry,
all right. So
cat has shown up. So if viewers see some random fur popping up, it's not me.
Okay.
You say that now.
Thank you for explaining it in exactly that way. That's great.
You're welcome.
So my next shout out is a game that I played. Our local game store had a 24-hour gaming event. So it started at noon on a Saturday, and then you could stay all night up until noon the next day. And I suppose the store was still open after that, but their event lasted from noon till noon, 24 hours. And I played this probably at like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, but it's the type of game that you want to play at that time. So it's called Trap Words. Is it Trap Word or Trap Words? I think it's called Trap Words. And the theme is sort of like you're a two teams, so it's sort of like code names in the way that like you split off into two teams, and then of somewhat even numbers, doesn't have to be, and then you're trying to make your way up this track, and then it's a dungeon themed with dragons and monsters and whatever. That's the theme. Doesn't really matter. You're essentially trying to get your team to the end of the dungeon before the other team does, and the way that you do that is by guessing words, and it is sort of like Taboo. So Taboo is a game where there's a word that you need to make your teammates guess, but you get handed a sheet of like 10 words that you're not allowed to say. So like if the word is library, then the banned words would be like books, librarian, building, etc., right? Shelves, like pages, words, like they would probably have all of these in there as words you cannot say, and you have to try to give the clues without using any of those words. So this is sort of like that, except that the opposing team are the people who choose the words that you can't say. Sorry, it's not quite that. Yeah, so the opposing team, if they're, let's say, let's stick with library. So the word is library. And as the opposing team, I know that they're going to try to make the other people guess library. The thing is that the clue giver doesn't know the trap words. And depending on where you are in the game, I will get X amount of trap words that I can write down. So I'm going to write down building. I'm going to write down books. I'm going to write down author. I'm going to write down library. Actually, librarian is not an example because it's in the same family of words as library. But I'm going to write a handful of these words. And then the clue giver doesn't even know what the trap words are. So they're just trying to dodge words that they don't even know what they are. Okay. So what you're trying to do as the clue giver is use offbeat, weird synonyms and adjectives that you wouldn't typically use to make a person guess library, if that makes sense. Okay. So I might say you go to this, place. So I wouldn't say building because I'm thinking maybe they'd write that. You go to this place to, maybe I wouldn't want to use the word borrow. So I would be like, take things temporarily that I would have to bring back after a certain amount of days that I can use. I wouldn't want to use the word read because that's probably a trap word. So I'd be like that you would use your eyes to locate letters. And then that thing is what you have to bring back to the location when you're done with it. So then like they're piecing this together and you're trying to dodge these trap words that you don't even know what they are, right? They may not have written book. They may not have written. And so we played this for probably an hour. And the super fun thing about this was not the first or second or third round. It was once we got meta about it, right? Because as soon as you start to figure out how this works, I'm not even writing book anymore because I know they're not going to say that. That's too obvious. So I don't write because you have a certain amount of trap words you're allowed to write depending on where you are in the game. So I'm not even going to use book. I'm going to let them say book if they want, but they're not gonna because it's too dangerous, right? I'm not going to put borrow. I'm going to start using words that I think they're going to like the synonyms or whatever. So yeah, we had a super fun time. We laughed so hard. And I know there was like water was a reoccurring theme for us for some reason. And so somebody wrote water and then it was like pool or it was like ocean or it was like whatever, but the water kept coming back as a theme. And it got to the point where we started writing our trap words. Instead of writing water, we would write H2O because we know we're trying to avoid that. And so we got super meta about it. And we started trying our trap words started being the synonyms and being the odd kind of workaround words that you would never go to. Right. And when you caught somebody with one of those, it was just hilarious. So anyways, had a really great time with trap words. I only played it the one time. Honestly, I don't think it's a fantastic game, but it's a really neat little setup for a weird kind of offbeat word game with the right group.
That's great.
Right, back around to Joel.
Okay, one that I really enjoyed that I really wasn't thinking much of until we played it was Wispwood from CGE, which I think is one of their new ones that's coming out. This is a little kind of, I guess, pattern-making game is how I would describe it.
Sorry, what's it called?
Wispwood. ISP, I think. Wood, all is one word. I think that's how you spell it.
Yep.
It may be a WHI, but
Wispwood. Okay, yeah, here it is.
no H. Okay.
Ooh,
So
it's pretty.
Yeah, it is. It is
I saw
pretty.
this one too.
There's a circle in the middle, and in the circle are these little sprites. There's a term for them. I can't remember what it is. If you're looking it up, maybe you've got it there.
Yeah, they're called sprites now. We've decided.
Okay, great.
Right.
In our
How
naming
about
things tradition.
Wisps, because it's Wispwood.
I mean,
It's
if
now
you
called
want to get literal about it.
Spritewood. All right, continue.
Carry on.
On either side of these wisps or sprites, there is like a Tetris shape, right? So on your turn, you're going to take one of those sprite pieces, wisp pieces. I'm going to get this wrong every time now. And you're going to put it on the table in front of you. And in the first round, you're making a 4x4 grid. Second round is 5x5. Third round, 6x6. You're going to put it in that shape, but it's just a square. And so you'll take these tree tokens, which are just face down wisps, and you'll use those to fill out whatever shape you got, right? So if you had kind of a Z shape, you would have your one wisp, and you'd have three different trees that would make that shape together. And you can put the wisp anywhere in that shape that you want to. Doesn't really matter. Each wisp, there's, I think, 5 different colors. Each wisp has a different way that it's going to score. And so some of them will be like, you'll score for every wisp that is, if it's not in sharing a row or column with another wisp of its same type. Or in another one, maybe it's like, if you have one wisp, you'll have 5 points, and if you have 2 wisps, it's 11 points, and if you have 3 wisps, it's 18 points, or whatever the case is, right? So you're building your little grid, and you also have a cat token, and the cat token allows you to either clear the circle and bring in all new tiles, because otherwise the circle only clears if there's only one type of wisp left in it. You can use your cat and flip it over to clear that, or you can use your cat and flip it over to its hidden side in order to take your wisp, but with a shape that's not one of the shapes that's right around it, one of the two kind of neighboring shapes that it has. So it's like, well, I want to take this wisp, but I want to take this like 3-piece L shape, which is over here on the other side of the board, so I'll flip my cat token. The only way your cat token flips back over is if you don't take a wisp and only take trees to fill in gaps in the grid. Okay. That all sounds pretty straightforward and simple. You finish the round, you score it, and then you clear your board of all trees except for the wisps. The wisps stay.
Well, that's
the
neat.
The borders of your grid can shift, right? So you don't have to keep them in the same relative position that they were in the last grid, but they can't move from the locations, the relations they have to each other. Mm-hmm. And so as your board gets bigger, you start to like work yourselves into corners because they have these different types of scoring conditions. There's one type of wisp that has a placement rule where it's like it's a green wisp. Every time you put it down, it has to satisfy a certain placement rule. So the one we played was it has to be diagonally adjacent to your cat token. And so you can move your cat token between rounds, right? So you have more chances to play it, but you start to like work yourself into these corners and then try and figure out, okay, how do I actually maximize with what I have left here? And it ends up being like really enjoyable and really a little bit more, I'm not going to say it's brain burning because I wouldn't put it quite on that level, but it's a little bit more thought provoking than I expected when we sat down to play it. And it ended up being really fun. And you'd be like, okay, I'm going to go for, I think this type of wisp, if I get a lot of them, it's going to score well. But then you see someone else is doing a different type of wisp. And so you're like, well, I want to take that so they can't score all of theirs. And it becomes just this really fun, like, push and pull of what are you going for, what can you do in your board, and things like that. Once somebody fills their grid in each round, then you finish the round and it's over. So if you didn't finish your grid, you won't get like bonus points and things like that, and you won't have had maybe as many opportunities. If you're like, well, I'm just going to take these small shapes, then you may not fill up your board like you need to. And so it was really enjoyable. And the game comes with, I think for each wisp, it's like 5 or 6 different scoring cards. So it's going to be a different mix every time of how those wisps score. And I can't imagine you'd be playing the exact same like scoring cards twice in a row. So we really enjoyed it. And it's one I'm going to review soon because my wife was like, well, I really want to play this again soon. So we will. But yeah,
Cool.
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, available for pre-order. It looks like. So, do you have an idea of when this is supposed to hit stores? Or
It can't be too long. If it's not this month, it's got to be early 2026
okay,
because they were selling copies of it there, not just
okay,
not just preview copies.
there
And
you
so
go.
it's
Yeah,
got to
so
be
probably
in the
just
very near
on the way to
futures.
stores, shortly and whatnot. Cool.
Yeah, and I can't imagine this one is going to be too expensive either. I don't know what the exact price is, but like it's small cardboard tokens mostly, right? Like there's nothing and
Yeah,
30 cards. Or
it's
so.
available for $30 on pre-order
Yeah.
at a bunch of places in the
great.
States. Yeah.
That was kind of a trend I noticed at PAX, by the way, is a lot of like smaller priced games. I think is because of all the tariff questions that will
yeah.
apparently continue.
Publishers are
for
probably leaning that
the near
direction.
future. Yeah,
I mean,
a lot
I
of
know All Play is wrecking that right now. When I say wrecking, they're doing really well of
yeah.
That's what they
packing
do.
their
Yeah.
catalog with these smaller box games. I mean,
Yeah, I'm going to talk about one from them later.
CGE, which you usually think of as doing these bigger box games. It's like,
Yeah.
like you said, Wispwood, they are starting to get some of those smaller ones too. Which is interesting.
Yeah. Interesting. All right, Isaac, you got something else for us?
Yeah, I got a few more things. Quick one here. I got to check out the new Earth expansion coming out, Animal Kingdoms. So if you don't know what Earth is, it's the planet we live on. But also,
Hold on, can you go back and explain that a little bit more?
Slow
the
down.
Earth
Slow
is
down.
round, right? It's not, as far as I can tell, it's not flat.
Mind
But
blown.
I don't know. So Earth is a tableau building game, engine building game where you're getting flora cards into a tableau and they activate in a certain direction, right? Which is one of the coolest things to me about Earth is the way your cards in your tableau activate is really interesting to me. But something they didn't play. You guys are both familiar with Earth?
Yeah, I played it once. Yeah, so a while back. So
I
vaguely
can see
familiar.
it not being one of your favorite types of games. It's not heavy in interaction, Matt.
Yeah, that's why I didn't return to it. It's fairly heads down. The puzzle is really cool, but a little long for a kind of a heads down game for me. And I just opted towards Forest Shuffle instead because it's generally shorter. Yeah.
But something that which is cool about, to me, the upcoming Animal Kingdoms expansion is there's an opportunity to, I don't know, I guess recruit animals onto, that's not the word they use, I forget what they say, but recruit animals.
That's what it is now. Yeah, it's recruit now.
Yeah. Once again, you're recruiting a tiger. And so in base Earth, your little tree standees and your sprout tokens, it doesn't really matter too much where they go, but now with the animals introduced, it matters a lot more where you put those because they will have some sort of movement across your tableau. Let's say a rabbit goes to eat the sprout token sort of thing. So it adds this extra layer of thinking, which already is kind of a thinky, puzzly game. But that was always something that I felt was a little flat of it, is it didn't matter where you put your resources, and now it does. So I kind of like,
Cool. Yeah, that sounds neat.
Animal Kingdoms expansion.
Cool. Very quickly, I watched The Hobby, which is the documentary that was recently made about our hobby, about board gaming. I guess I liked it. I thought it was really cool to see all these familiar faces and people that I literally know, and I got to explore a little bit of stuff that maybe I wasn't already familiar with. The World Series of Board Gaming, they did a little bit of a kind of a feature on that in general that occurs in Vegas. But beyond that, I think that movie is probably made for people who aren't so invested already and in just like living in the hobby day in day out already, the way that I am and that you guys are as well, I'm sure. So it's
the hobby isn't for people in the hobby.
You know what? That's more or less what I'm saying. Yeah. It's still interesting to watch, and I would recommend it. Check it out. It's cool. It's interesting. But it's there's no revelations. I didn't really learn much. It's mostly stuff that I already knew existed. So there wasn't anything that like blew me away or that I thought was like incredibly, educational or new information for me. as a hardcore board gamer. But the fact that I am a hardcore board gamer is kind of cool to see a documentary made about what we do, and kind of maybe opens the hobby up to some more people. So yeah, it's neat. I didn't love it, but I think primarily because we're not the target market for this, for this movie. So yeah, that's all I have to say about the hobby. It's well made. It's pretty cool, and it was awesome to see all these familiar faces and stuff like that. But beyond that, there wasn't a whole lot there for me personally. So yeah,
I haven't watched it, but I've actually already heard that criticism.
yeah, and I would still literally recommend it even to you, Isaac. Like, as a hardcore board gamer, I would still recommend it. You're just like, don't expect anything earth shattering. It's going to be cool to see our hobby put in the limelight like that, and that's kind of where the excitement sort of ends for us. Joel,
I'm trying to think. There's a couple more I want to talk about that are like coming in 2026, if that's cool.
Yeah.
The first one is it's coming to Kickstarter, I think, in February, and it's a game called Rematch from Brother Ming Games, and I got a chance to like learn it from the designer Ming Lu, I think is his name, and it's really interesting. My wife was really taken with this, which surprised me because it's inspired by like Street Fighter 2. And she's not a video gamer at all. And so, but it's a really interesting setup for this game. I don't even know what you call this mechanism. Think of the marble draw from Potion Explosion. Only there are 3 kind of columns of marbles that are coming down, and the marbles are all red, yellow, and blue. And you are going to choose your moves that you're doing to fight your opponent based on, like, I'm going to pull a red marble, and anything that's in the column closest to me and the center column, if I can get like a chain of that, right? So I have like a 1 marble move and a 2 marble move and a 4 marble move. And that will obviously shift what's available for the next person as I'm pulling things out of the column.
Is it based on the shape of the patterns of the marbles that are left?
Not on the patterns. It's based on how many you can connect, right? So
okay,
if there's like 6 marbles here, and there's a red on the left and 2 reds connected to it in the center, and then 1 more on the right, I can only use the 3 that are in the left and center row, right? Or center columns here.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to figure out how I can chain those together, and so maybe I'm gonna like pull a 1 yellow marble so that next time I can have a 4 red marble action or a 4 blue marble action or whatever.
Okay, neat.
Yeah, it's really neat, and it's very cool because it's going to come with, I think it's like 6 or 8 different like fighters, and the fighters are all very different in how they like work in the game. So some of them have like, you're pulling marbles and trying to do a certain color of move so that you can charge up an item that you have, and then you can use it with a different color to really make an explosive combo. Or I played one that was like a DJ, and so you would like drop beats, right? You'd have a certain move that would allow you to drop beats and put these records on. When you put it down, it's going to have a certain effect, and then you put a little beat token alongside the marble column, and it will move up every turn, and when it gets to the turn, it's going to have a kill effect where you pull it off, and it's got another effect there as well. And so it's got this like whole series of different types of moves that you can do, and different types of fighters, and it was just really like surprising and unique in the approach to it. I think that we both just enjoyed how enthusiastic the designer was about it. It was clearly a labor of love for like his kind of passions and interests, and trying to get things like, Street Fighter has always the international cast, and so here's the fighter from the Philippines, and here's the one from Canada, and here's the one from Japan, right? And they all have these different kinds of systems and things like that. But it was just really cool. There are other features, like if you think of Street Fighter, if you've ever played Street Fighter, there are those crowds in the background. So some of those moves will allow you to like draw the crowd onto your side. And then when you perform a certain move, if you've got the red crowd behind you and you do a red move, you'll get like a bonus effect for it and things like that. So kind of a dice throne feel, kind of a, like I said, a Potion Explosion feel in this Street Fighter package. That's all was all really cool. that I don't know. It was a lot of fun and very colorful and exciting and interesting, and definitely one that that I'm interested to look at a little bit more when it shows up on crowdfunding. I just got to play it the one time, but there was a lot to like about it. For sure.
Cool. Yeah, it looks neat. It's, like you said, very bright and colorful. If you're trying to find it on BGG, it's called Match.
Yeah.
For that might get changed.
He's done his set. Well, I don't know if it will. This is his second game, and his first one was called React.
Oh, okay.
And so I think that's kind of his thing.
Sure.
As an English teacher, I can't get behind it totally, but like, you do what you got to do.
Yeah. So Match, full colon, not semicolon. So Match, Marble Puzzle Fighter. And that's how you'll find it. Yeah, that's how you would find it on BGG. That's the title on there. Released in 2026, it says. Yeah, it looks neat. Lots of pictures up there if you guys want to check it out. But it looks cool.
Very interesting. Egregious use of semicolon, though.
Yeah, I guess maybe a little bit of a weird choice, but yeah, it's cool. It's fine.
I'm gonna remember it now, though. So that's that. So we're gonna rename that.
I need you to make a phone call, Joel. Call your friend Ming, let him know. Okay, so Isaac, we're gonna wrap things up fairly shortly, maybe one more each or something like that. But
this is my last one.
Perfect. Go ahead.
So my last one, once again, disclaim, is another Play to See game, and also disclaim, I have game developer credit for this one. So my dear friend made Twisted Trumpets, but designers Matt Rundella. It's his first design. It is a tile-laying game where the king wants a new royal bugler, so everyone's competing to fill in that role. So think of the whimsical theming of Castles of Mad King Ludwig, where you're just trying to make this ridiculous castle. Well, in this game, you're making a ridiculous trumpet. And it has, at first look, it seems really light. It is really light, but there's actually quite a bit of thinking to it because there's a couple scoring layers. It's not... you make points for not only having separate branches of the trumpets, you get points for set collecting certain flags, you get points for placing certain tiles around these bird tiles. And it's just a delight, I demoed this constantly at the convention, and once again biased, but I didn't have one person say they disliked it. It's just silly and it's fun, but yet you're still going to have quite a good time thinking about it. And as soon as you finish your first trumpet, you're like, well, that was terrible. I need to do this better. And that's what I think is the funnest about it, is you instantly just, I need to do better next time, sort of thing.
Cool. Yeah, it looks almost like path building, right?
Yeah. A lot of people say that it's like Pipe Dream, but
right. Or Trailblazers, or Pipeline, stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah. But the theme is super funny. Like the idea of this trumpet even functioning is hilarious.
Yeah. You get some wacky things where like all the bells of the trumpets are facing back towards your character. And you're just the idea that you're playing the music just for yourself, but the king likes it.
Very cool. So, and sorry if you mentioned this already, but is there like a release plan? Is there a Kickstarter? Is there where we at?
Retail.
Okay, cool.
I think officially is now retail. It was released on Essen, but now I think it was last week. It is being distributed towards all the retailers, and you can get it directly from the Play to See website.
Cool. Yeah, it looks like Board Game Bliss, our sponsor. They're going to pay me extra for this episode. Board Game Bliss has it available for pre-order for $36.95 Canadian. And in the US, it looks like it's
That's a good deal.
36 Canadian, 29 US is what it's available for. So it looks like it is in stock at a couple of stores in the States. I use Board Game Oracle. I don't know if you guys ever use that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Board Game Oracle has it available at one store, sold out at another, and pre-order at another. So it's sort of available if you want to hunt it down.
On a different note, I actually used Board Game Atlas instead of Oracle, and then it died.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I went to Oracle when Atlas died. Yeah, I was an Atlas guy too. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's officially rename Board Game Oracle to Board Game Atlas. Let's
I
make
actually
do
accidentally
that.
say Atlas all the time, so people just remember that I mean.
They just go to the wrong website. Yeah, cool. And cool. I got one more for you guys. I actually had written down earlier today that I was going to just talk about my Black Friday shopping, and so I bought 4 board. I went down to Toronto on the weekend and hit a couple of stores, including Board Game Bliss, and bought a handful of games. And so, and I played one of them this evening, so I can talk a little bit more about that one. But the 4 games that I bought was 12 Rivers. I know that Joel talked about it on maybe the Gen Con recap podcast or something, and I think Isaac has talked about it as well. Yeah, maybe it wasn't Joel. Anyways, I know you guys.
It wasn't me. I just saw it then. But actually, I just opened up a copy of it tonight that my wife and I are going to play tomorrow. So
awesome. Yeah.
I'm excited to hear your
very
thoughts.
well may do a podcast about that, because a lot of us regular hosts, including yourself, Joel, have it available, have it at home. So yeah, we might do a podcast about that one. I picked up.
We need to rename the regular host. Just host.
Yeah, that works. I also picked up Tag Team. Which Joel, I think you did talk about.
That one I did talk about.
Yes. On one of our previous podcasts. I have not played it yet, but it looks really cool. And another 2-player battler that, I do enjoy those types of games from time to time. I picked up, Covenant, which is a fairly hot new game from Devere, and I know almost nothing about it other than the theme, and that it's apparently super duper combo-tastic, which is the reason I just pulled the trigger on it. The BGG rating is fairly good, and it apparently just like combos just go off, and it's super fun, and that sounds like a blast to me, so I just picked it up. And the last one was Zenith, which is a 2-player game that is pretty neat. I played it this afternoon with Charlie and Remy. It is a 2 or 4-player game, so I guess you can do a team thing, but I think it's primarily designed as a straight up 2-player game. Really neat system, multi-use cards, which I always appreciate. And generally there's like 5 planets or 5 like tug of wars that are basically happening, where you're trying to pull the influence of these planets towards you. And if you pull it all the way, then you collect that planet, that colored planet, and then you kind of refill it so it's available to kind of reclaim again. And then you win the game by having 3 of the same planet, 4 different planets, or just 5 planets in general. And the first person to achieve one of those win conditions wins the game. So we learned it and played it this afternoon. It is beautiful. And I don't know if I got some sort of I don't think I did, like deluxe edition or whatever, but the tokens, the planet tokens and the resources are like these like 3D wood, or I think they're wood tokens.
Yeah, is it the rewood? Is that what they call it? The rewood?
Maybe, yeah. But they look amazing.
No semicolon in that.
No semicolon. And if it wasn't called that before, it is now. But yeah, anyways, the components are fantastic, and it plays like our very first game with a 9-year-old took like an hour. So I can imagine this being, it says 35 minutes on the box. I think that's totally fair, and a good quick little tug of war game that you can play with a friend or loved one. Yeah.
I like the aesthetic of that game. It's something like a white minimalist stick with then the art in just this little spot is just fantastic. Yeah,
it's beautiful.
The art's really appealing too. It's like got this like cartoony feel, but without being over the top.
It doesn't feel childish or like juvenile. Yeah. No, it still looks. Yeah, I love everything about it, and so far I like the game itself, which I've only played the one time. But we'll see how much more play it gets. But so far, really enjoying it. Yeah. All right, that's it for me about those 4 games: Tag Team, Zenith, Covenant, and 12 Rivers. And that's going to wrap it up for me. Do either of you? I think you guys got one more. No, Joel, did you have one more?
I'll do what you did, and I'm going to do 3 at once, real quick, just to end up, because these are all smaller box games that are coming next year. The two of them are coming from Asmodee. One of them is called DNUP, which is a terrible name, DNUP. But it's kind of written in a way that like you can look at it either direction and it reads the same way. So that's why they've called it that. And it's a game by the designer of Scout, who it's similar to Scout, right? Like you've got cards that have numbers on both the top and the bottom. You're creating sets, putting them down on the table, and kind of like what is now I'm having a brain freeze. What's the game where Fuji Flush, where you play a set down, and if nobody can beat it before it gets back to you, then you get to get rid of your cards. So you're trying to get rid of all your cards, but you can do things like add to other people's sets, or if you beat someone's set, they have to take them back into their hand, and I believe flip them upside down. And so what you have is kind of changing over the course of the game, or you could choose to take someone's card and flip them upside down so that you can have a different set of cards to work with in your hand. It was really fast, really fun. I think, like I said, I think the name maybe is not great, but definitely one we really enjoyed. Another one we liked from Asmodee was called All In, and All In is kind of a game where you are creating poker hands, basically discarding cards and picking up cards, and each card has a couple of little like actions to do. So one of them might be like draw 3 cards from this deck and discard one of them, or discard 2 of them and keep one, or whatever the case may be. And you're trying to also decide, like, get it to a point where you think you have the best hand, and then you go all in, because until someone goes all in, other people can do things like a card action might be, to force them to discard a card or and draw a new card or something like that. So your hand can be slightly manipulated by other people as well. Again, pretty fast and pretty enjoyable, but really enjoyed the kind of quick game that we played of that.
Is the theme of that one like a psychic, like foretellers?
Yes, that's exactly right. All in predictions.
Yeah, okay.
Because at the end, you're going to try and predict who you think has the best hand.
Okay.
And you can get some points for that.
Yeah, and just a correction on that, it's called All In predictions.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's get that punctuation right. So it was really fun, I thought. And my wife preferred DNUP, but I liked All In a little bit more in the little plays we had. The last one is one that's not going to come out, I think, till Gen Con of next year, from All Play, and it's one of their tiny box games. I heard about it at this last Gen Con, and I started kind of teaching it to one of my classes, because you don't need the box, really. It's just like a bunch of list of words and things to play. But it's a really fun game where you have a word. It's a cooperative game. So you have a word.
What's it called?
It is called Jibber Jabble.
Jibber Jabble.
Jibberjabble. And I think what you'll find on BGG is like a red box version. And All Play has a new art, kind of improved look and things to it in their version. So we're playing cooperatively. I've got a word that I can't see that you all are trying to get me to guess. And you do that by going around and spelling clues, but you can't coordinate what clues you're spelling. And so, like, if the word is cat, and Matt is like M, and Isaac is like, I guess we're going for milk, and Matt's like, we were going for meow. I don't know what you're spelling now, right?
No.
And so but you can't coordinate that. So you just have to like keep going and hope that you can get somewhere with it, right?
That sounds hilarious.
And at any point you can like say stop, and then you give 3 clues, and then the person gets to guess tries to guess what the word is. So we had one where the word was, I think, Godzilla, and the first person who went was like K, and like 3 other people at the table were like, perfect,
it's going to be kaiju.
And I was that's what they knew, and I did not. I was like, what are we smelling here?
So what did you go with?
To be fair, Joel,
I was like,
killer. Hey, you still have the right letter. You still have the right letter.
I don't know how to spell that. So like, I know what they want to spell. I don't know how to spell it though.
And that happens too, where you don't have to know how to spell. You can just like guess and things
phonetically.
So,
yeah.
It's a lot of fun. The way they have it set up is each card has 2 easy, 2 medium, and 2 difficult words. And so as the person who's going to guess, you get to say, I want number 4, that's in the medium category, right? Or I want number 2, that's in the easy category. And you go from there, and you try and get however many, I'm sure it's like get 10 words and you win or whatever. But it's super light but super fun. And I introduced this to one of my classes, and they constantly want to play it now. Like every class, at the start of class, they're like, "Can we play the game?" And I'm like, "No, we have things to do right now." But like, it's really addictive and just it's a really fun time. So yeah. It's funny because the things you think will be obvious. Another one, we were trying to get someone to guess pizza, and someone started to, we all knew, spell pepperoni, but whoever was next in line did not know what to spell that started with a P, thinking of pizza, and so they were just like lost. And so I can't even remember what they were trying to spell, but it was hilarious. So yeah, really fun.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds really interesting. Cool. We went the whole podcast, and I wanted to mention this, and so I want to ask: Are either of you guys watching Pluribus?
Yes, we're I think an episode or two behind, but we are watching that.
Same,
it's really
yeah.
good.
Isaac, have you watched this at all?
No, I haven't.
No. Okay, look up Pluribus and check it out. It's from the writer director of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, Vince Gilligan. Gilligan, yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say, Isaac, don't even look it up if you don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Same for the listeners. Don't even look it up. Don't watch a trailer. Don't read anything. Just go watch Pluribus. And it's Pluribus.
I typed it in to Google, and the first 20 images is a woman looking shocked and just a bunch of yellow. That's it. That's all.
Yep.
It's like
perfect.
None of it is. It's
that's all you need. Stop looking back.
Yeah, that's right.
And like
that's
20 images.
Yeah. Watch it. It's fascinating, and I'm only 3 episodes in.
I think that's where we are also.
And so and like, if you know Vince Gilligan from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, he doesn't rush anywhere. He really like takes his time. He's what's the word that they used? He's a generous filmmaker. So he will show you all kinds of interesting things just to provide context, and he'll draw things out because it's interesting to watch people do certain things and whatever. And you're kind of left a lot of time to just figure out what's going on yourself. And I love it. I love his style of filmmaking, and I think he's a genius, and I'm loving Pluribus. I am fascinated and cannot wait to see where this is going, because so far it's just been kind of table setting and kind of putting you in this situation, in this world of what's going on. And I have no idea where it's going, and I love that feeling. Yeah. Any kind of like non-spoilery thoughts on Pluribus, Joel?
I would just say that like one thing I'm really enjoying about it is that you can tell it feels so to me it feels so very different from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. I mean, there's some stylistic like similarities and things like that, but just like
his fingerprints are all
the
over
world.
it.
Yeah, the world that it's in feels so different. Never would have been what I expected to come next from him. And yet, like, you can just feel as you were saying, Matt, the confident hands that are making this, right? Like, everything just feels like crafted, I guess, for lack of a better term. Yeah, it's great.
Nail on the head. You absolutely feel like you're in great hands, and like, regardless of how I feel about something, I'm along for the ride. Like, I'm coming. I'm coming. Just like, take me there.
I mean, the question though, guys, now that you're enjoying the show, what would you rename it as?
I don't even want to take a shot at it, because it's I don't want to spoil anything about the premise. But yeah, I mean, is there a semicolon? That's what I want to know.
Where's semicolon ibis?
All right, thanks guys for doing this. We're gonna wrap things up. This was super fun. We'll do it again soon. Stay tuned. We're going to do a 12 Rivers episode at some point, and I think so far I'm planning a 2-player only game special with Jeff Madigan, the Mad Board Gamer, where we're going to talk about games like probably Sobek 2 Players, maybe Zenith and Tag Team, amongst others. So we're gonna have a special coming up in the coming months. None of this is like super planned out in terms of dates and stuff, but these are some of the things that we're working on at Dice Camera Action. So thank you, Joel. Thank you, Isaac. This has been fun, folks. If you're enjoying it, please give a 5-star rating if you're really enjoying it. But leave any rating. Any rating is going to like help people find us. And if you write something, that's even better. But we appreciate you guys hanging out and listening. And if you want to follow along, you can follow me at Dice Camera Action Pod on Instagram, and you can email me at dicecameraactionpod@gmail.com. Thanks again, guys. It's been fun.
Thank you.
Cheers.